Hello friends and welcome. Today we're going to cover a couple tricks that you can use to know for sure when an enemy has an observer in the area. While streaming, a lot of people mentioned they don't know all these tricks, so I thought I would share with you what I know and let me know if I miss anything. That way we can get all these easy D-wards in our games. This video is going to mainly focus on how to use the towers to help you find wards. There are other tricks. I recommend you check out the warding playlist for more tricks like this. So we're going to start here in the Radiant safe lane. This trick is the most useful for the Dire off lane, but technically anyone can do it since, especially at the start of the game, people go kind of like wherever, especially for first blood attempts. So you'll notice the tower does not have vision through the trees. The trees block the tower vision. That is kind of the core of all the tricks today. They also don't see the edge of the rings, which is very common to use in the mid lane at the edges. We will cover that today, but many of you probably know those tricks. What we're covering today is behind these trees, you can stand at the start of the game to see if the enemy has vision. Because right now, when I have no observers down here as the Radiant safe lane, there's this spot behind the trees here where the Dire team could stand and not be hit by the tower, even though they are in attack range. You can also do it somewhere over here, and actually over here at the very edge works, but there is like an opening for the tower to kind of see, so it actually sees like up to here, and then just like back here it doesn't see. So you just have to be a little careful of this one, making sure you don't step too far and you think you're like doing the trick, but the tower is actually just seeing you. So I actually recommend like this spot or this spot's a little safer, but you'll see when I unpause and I put an observer here, now I see Axe, and now my tower will start attacking him. So when you're the Dire off lane, you just run in here at the start of the game, stand here. If the tower hits you, stand in a little further. If the tower hits you, then you know there's vision here, and I'll leave it up to you if you think it's safe or not to get, because sometimes people put this observer here to go for first blood. So you might just want to like pocket it in your mind, like, hey, they have an observer here, let's get it later when it's safe, like when the laning stage actually starts. But some people do place it and then just walk away. So it's up to you based on what you see, whether you want to go for this D ward right now or not. But this one in particular tends to be pretty safe to do quickly, since a lot of teams, like if they are placing this for first blood, they'll kind of wait in this area for the enemy team to walk in close to kill you. So if you do it over here and then back out right away, even if they see you, unless they've already been moving forward, then you're probably going to get away. While we're down here, let's also talk about this side of the tree line. This is not so common to use, especially at the start of the game, but it can be pretty useful in the laning stage as people start to rotate around, because if the Radiant safe lane has an observer in this area, you'll notice it'll actually cover back here in that area. So now let's say I put an observer here for whatever reason, now Axe is spotted and he will get hit by the tower. But if there's no observer in here, then the tower doesn't see back here naturally, even in the daytime, so then you know that they have vision over here. In the mid lane, at the start of the game, while it's still nighttime, you can walk up to the tower like this, and you'll see I'm actually in attack range, but like I said earlier, the tower doesn't see that far. You can see on our own tower, it only sees like up to here, so people standing within attack range, but not within the vision range at night can do this trick. Once it's daytime, obviously the tower sees further, so it'll just attack you once you stand in this spot. Be careful about this. You can kind of honestly just go for it every single game, and most of the time it'll be okay, because at the start of a lot of pub games, people are just kind of like slow, doing whatever, so you're not going to get punished. But sometimes people are here to punish you, especially if they place their observer faster than you for whatever reason, and they see you walking up, and they're like, okay, everyone come over here, and as you walk up high ground, they kill you or something. So you will get punished for it every now and then, so keep that in mind. You can wait till you see people like spread out for whatever reason, but when you do walk up here, if the tower hits you, it means for sure they have vision somewhere along here. And that's why you may want to, rather than walk right in the middle, because if you're in the middle, it could be an observer here, it could be an observer here, and you're not sure, but you do know they placed an observer. But if you come to like the side, then if you're getting hit by the tower over here, you kind of know like, okay, the observer's probably in this area or in this area, but if it was over here, it wouldn't see like all the way over here. We can use the trees to help us know more specifically where the observer is though. Over here does not work anymore. You may have used this spot in the past, but due to the tree shifting, the tower's moving, you can't actually move in far enough, I'm pretty sure, for the tower to hit you, even when they have an observer over here. I was trying it, it didn't seem to work anymore. But a couple other spots you can use is like back here, you can stand far enough in, and if they have an observer over here, it'll spot you. You can do it on this side as well, like right here, this spot. I'll just show you actually. So if you come over to this spot, I am in the tower's attack range, but it can't see me. If I bring the enemy hero over here to provide vision, or as if they had an observer on this half, then it would still hit me. But you can see even in the daytime, it actually can't see me. So here they have vision over here, or on this cliff. So you can use this later on in the game. And actually, I'll go ahead and show you now. This cliff ward will actually show all the way into here. So you can also like kind of walk into this spot back here if you want. To kind of like test if they have vision. But keep in mind is like it's pretty dangerous, and that's why I said like some of these tricks start to get less practical, because you are assuming they have vision there. You're walking into their vision and you are walking under the tower. So if they are prepared for it, they can stun you under the tower, they can do tons of damage, if not kill you. And that's why some of these tricks are just like less practical. But sometimes you like team wipe the enemy, you know, and you have the freedom to do this, then you can try some of these tricks. But yeah, if you walk in like into this spot, then you'll know the only way they have vision here is if there's like a Monkey King watching you, if you're tracked, or if they have a cliff ward over here. On the Radiant side, again, you can do this stuff at the edge of the tower lines, but talking about the trees. So if Axe were to move into this area right here, we wouldn't be able to see him. If I hide my character, you'll see that even in the daytime, the tower doesn't quite see here. So we can move Axe kind of like at the edge right here. If you move him too far in, the trees will block vision, but when he's at that edge, if we put like an observer here, and then he walks in, I guess just a little further, you can see it's like kind of finicky. There's like a very fine spot where the tower can see him, but he doesn't disappear in these like inner trees. So usually if you like walk in and like wait a second, the tower will like launch one attack, then you know there's probably an observer in this area. Another spot you can stand in is up here on this high ground. The only observer that spots there is this observer right here, which has started to catch on in popularity to place at the start of the game, because it's pretty difficult. Even if you think they have vision over here, you put your sentry down here, you can't see up here unless you walk all the way around, which by the way, if you didn't know, there is a path to walk back here and check, or you can put your sentry up there. But this is a pretty sneaky one, and this is an advantage to see back here to spot roamers like waiting to jump you, but you can use that if you're the roamer to turn it on them, stand in here, and if you get hit by the tower, there's an observer there. But make sure this watcher is not caught by the enemy team, otherwise it's probably just the watcher revealing you. So make sure you deactivate this, or that it's not running, and then you stand here. There could also be an observer like in this area, I guess, depending on the stage of the game, but I mean just like put your sentry like somewhere here or like back here, and then like catch this whole area. This tower also has its vision blocked by this tree line, so if you stand somewhere here and you get hit by the tower, you kind of know that they probably have an observer somewhere in this area to spot the hero there, and the tower attacks you. And the observers in this area tend to be like, I don't know, like anywhere in this area is like somewhat common to use. By the way, if you're the Dire, don't put it here. This is I've seen a couple people do this. It's funny, but you're gonna lose this for free. Make sure you put it outside at least. On the upper side of this tower, you can walk over here, and if the enemy has observers in this area, the tower will start hitting you. If it doesn't hit you and you have a quelling blade and you're feeling brave to like wait around and do all this, then you can actually start cutting the trees, and if they have an observer over here, it would spot you. But keep in mind, the only way to walk here is to come through here, so the enemy would see that you're like in this area trying to find observers, so they'd probably be running over while you're like waiting around cutting trees, and then they're just gonna kill you. On the Dire side, anywhere back here, the tower can't see you because of these trees. So if the tower can see you and hit you, like especially if you're like standing in this area, then they probably have an observer in this area. On this side, you can stand in this area, and if the enemy had an observer here, the tower would be attacking you. But the Dire doesn't usually put observers back here when this tower is still up. They might put something like over here, but it wouldn't spot the place we're standing. So this trick is not so useful, but it is something you can try. Like if they see you here, that should be a bit suspicious. For the Radiant offlane tower, if you're the Dire team, you can stand like back here or in kind of this area. You can see the tower sort of sees in here. So this one's a little awkward. You kind of have to like stand in between these trees and stuff. You're probably going to tank a tower shot like you're walking in here. So this one's probably safer, although, you know, it's a little deeper in, maybe a bit more risk. But you'll notice the tower's not attacking anything because it can't see. But if we place a observer up here, which by the way, depending where you place it, like it could be over here, and then you'll notice it doesn't quite see far enough into the tree line. So it may be a false sense of security, but if they place it more on the left side for whatever reason, then it will spot this axe, and axe will start to get hit. This spot in here is too far up for this observer to see. So it wouldn't do anything usually, but if you have a quelling blade or a way to cut just like one tree, sometimes the enemies place observers in this area, or like the Radiant will place observers in this area, like somewhere around here, especially when they're defending this tower and the enemy's coming up, they might do this. So if you have a quelling blade and you cut this tree, then it will now, like an observer in this area, the tower would start to hit you, even though it shouldn't be able to see you without this observer. So if I kill it, you'll see like we don't have vision here anymore. So this is a spot you can use so long as you cut that tree. If you're on the Dire team, you could walk around here and stand in this corner here, but you're gonna tank a couple tower shots on your way in, especially in the daytime. But there you are, like you'll know it, but this one's pretty impractical. For the Radiant Tier 2 offlane, you can stand either in this corner, anywhere in here. Those will all spot a Cliff Observer in this area, but like I said, pretty dangerous, so I pretty much never use this trick. Sometimes, I guess, like, if we're really confident, I might, like, walk into this corner, but usually if we're that confident, like, the tower is focusing creeps because we're, like, pushing up, we're feeling strong, so the tower needs to be able to target me. It means it can't have anything else, which means this is probably not the best time for me to do this trick unless they're all dead or something, but again, it is something you can do if you see the situation come up. You can come stand here, and if the enemy has, or the Radiant has an observer over here, then the Radiant tower will start hitting you somewhere in here in all these, like, little pockets where the vision is blocked by trees. On this side, if you have a Quelling Blade, usually you can't walk into here without, like, walking all the way around the tower. You could, but if you cut this tree as the dire and then stand back here, the tree is still blocking your line of sight if they don't have any vision, but when defending this tower, it's sometimes common to put an observer in this area, which would reveal the fact that you're standing here, and then the tower will start hitting you. For the Radiant mid-tier 2 tower, somewhere over here can help you scout out observers in this area or over here, since you can see, like, it would reveal this area, so now the tower would start hitting you if you're standing back there. On this side of the tower, you can stand just above this tree here safely in the day or the night, unless the enemy has an observer revealing it. So something over here is pretty common, I would say. Sometimes something up here will also reveal that area. Things over here are maybe less common, but you can see, like, if I place an observer, we now see Axe, and then he's going to get hit. You can also use this back pocket area to scout any observers in this area right here, but I'd say this is less common nowadays, but it does work. For the Radiant Safe Lane Tier 2, any of these areas usually can't be seen, but especially when defending this tower, the Radiant might put observers over here or, like, up here, and so if you get hit while standing back here as the dire team, you know that there's some kind of vision back here. On this side, stand above this tree and a little bit to the right. It's a bit finicky, but just, like, walk in and out of the area. You'll probably get it. The tower doesn't see you right now, as you can see, but if we place an observer up here or over here, or I guess anywhere in this area, but those two spots are the most common, then it will reveal Axe, and then the tower's going to start hitting him. If you want to check for a Cliff Ward specifically, then just stand further back, like in this area, and the Cliff Ward will spot you. But notice, by the way, don't try to test it like back here, because this Cliff Ward actually is blocked by these tree lines because they're also on cliffs, so it doesn't see, like, into this area. For the dire offlane Tier 2, you can either, like, walk around the path like this, or if you're feeling really bold, you can, like, walk into the tower like this, I guess. So if you have blinks, anything like that, the tower should not be able to see back here unless they have an observer on this cliff. On this side of the tower, you can stand right over here without getting hit unless the enemy has an observer, like in this area, or they're just, like, standing in that area, then it will see you and it'll start attacking you. You can also try to get into this area right here to scout out for Cliff Wards, but it is pretty dangerous. You kind of have to, like, walk into the tower to do it, but if they have an observer a little bit more on the north side of this cliff, then it will see into this area, and then the tower will start to hit you back here. In the dire Tier 2 mid lane tower, you can stand over here to see if the enemy has an observer, like over here, which is not very common nowadays, honestly. This one actually just does not see far enough. It kind of looks like it should, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to work. I think it's, like, just too short. It's much easier to use on this side, where if you stand back here, the tower can't see you unless they have an observer here, or maybe just, like, anywhere in this area as well. On the dire Safe Lane Tier 2 side, you can stand in here without being seen unless they have an observer in this area. It's too far up for the cliff to see you. If you stand somewhere back here, you're also safe from the tower unless they have an observer somewhere back here. On the top side, anywhere back here is safe from the tower's vision unless they have an observer on the cliff or maybe somewhere back here. There's not really anywhere that useful for the Tier 3 towers, like for the tree lines tricks that we've been talking about. The only one that I will, like, mention is right here. The dire can stand over here without the Tier 3 tower attacking, because these two trees block it. But if the Radiant has placed an observer over here to defend this base, this high ground, then you will be hit back here. But it's usually pretty dangerous to do that, because if you're sieging high ground, the whole enemy team is in the area, or the tower's, like, hitting creeps, so then this is just, like, it's not that useful. Those are all the tricks I've got for you involving the towers to find these easy D-wards, some more useful than others, but sometimes the situations come up and then you get to feel like some pro gamer for knowing this, like, very niche strat, right? So there you go. That's what I know. Let me know if I missed anything, and if you want to know more cool warding tricks, then check out the playlist I made. It's got all my best warding videos. I will link it in the description. There's other tricks you can use to find observers, but we just didn't cover it here, but you can find them in that playlist. Thank you. See you there.